If you're a Samsung user, you need to stop making these mistakes right now. Well, let's go. There's a lot of mistakes that I see people making when they're using their Samsung phones. Fortunately, I have a YouTube channel, so I can help people overcome them. It ranges from everything. People don't update their apps from the Galaxy Store. People don't go and check whether their phone needs a software update, even to things like closing all their apps and swiping them all away when your phone has enough RAM to handle all of that. But amongst all of that stuff, some of the most basic settings and toggles gets overlooked as people just go about their day. So to ensure your phone is running smoothly, I've put a list together of things you should change and things you shouldn't avoid. First one is to do with screen timeout. In the display settings, there's actually a whole section devoted to how long your screen can stay on for. And a lot of people kind of just leave it default. The default is usually around about between 15 and 30 seconds when you set up your phone for the first time. A lot of people just ignore it, but you should actually pay attention to this and change it, particularly one toggle. So you obviously can, of course, go up to 10 minutes in terms of leaving the screen on so it doesn't time out. If you have it set to 15 seconds, it'll be very, very frustrating that for whatever reason you've left it at that, the phone will just turn your screen off after 15 seconds. Very frustrating, especially if you're looking at it. And that's where this next toggle comes into play. Because even if you turn it on to 5 minutes and you're looking at your phone screen for 5 minutes, without this toggle on, it'll just turn off. Turn on the toggle, keep screen on whilst viewing. The way this works, it'll use the selfie camera to track that your eyes are looking at the phone screen and actually override the screen timeout time that you've set to keep the screen on. Just turn the toggle on. That way you never have to think about it. It'll just take care of it for you. Number 2, don't use power saving at all. And I'll explain why. So just to briefly explain how the power saving works, you've got 2 different options in there. And when you click on the settings toggle after you've turned these on, you can customize a little bit how the power saving works. But they effectively take pretty drastic measures to reduce your battery consumption and increase your battery life. Things like limiting CPU power, things like adjusting brightness, things like turning off certain apps and closing certain things. It effectively limits the performance of your phone. And that goes a step further if you select the maximum battery saving toggle, because then that just does even more and just blocks a whole bunch of things. I don't think you should use it at all, because in the battery saving, power saving area, if you click the 3 dots, there's actually adaptive power saving. The way this works is the phone will learn from your usage patterns and then adapt power saving around it. So rather than it just needing to be on or off, it'll kind of toggle between the two depending on how and when you use your phone the most. That way, when you're not using it, it can limit that performance. And then when you do use it, it kind of goes back to full power and you don't have to think about it. There's other ways as well that the phone can handle power saving automatically without you needing to worry about it. If you go into the battery menu and into things like background usage limits, there's things in there where it can put unused apps to sleep after a certain period of time, or you even have adaptive battery, which is another form of power saving where it'll adapt the battery usage to your own personal usage. Say usage more. No, that should probably be enough. Next one is to do with how you access your notifications. I see a lot of people just completely going to the top of their screen to swipe down to access their notifications, which is fine. That's definitely a way to do it. It's part of the software. And especially if you're in an app, it's an easy way to access it because it's the only way. But there is easier ways that Samsung have built in, especially with how big phone screens are. There's another way that you can turn on where you can swipe down from anywhere on your home screen. It'll bring those notifications right down to you. Long press on the home screen and you go into the home screen settings and you want to find the toggle for swipe down to access notification panel. The way this works is once this is on, anywhere you swipe down on that home screen, it's going to bring that notification panel right down to you. And then you don't have to go hunting for it at the top of the screen. Just makes it an easier way, again, especially with the size of the phone screens these days, of getting access to your notifications a lot quicker. The next one is to do with security and privacy, and it's to do with apps. But it's not the way you might think. Myself personally, I am a bit of a fan of having control over what I do with my phone. Things like having APKs that I can install from wherever I want them installed from, whether that be downloaded or whether that be, in my Files app. I'd like to install them myself and have control of that. Samsung recently introduced a feature called Auto Blocker, which is effectively designed to stop and prevent that. For the right person, this feature is actually really good, especially if you're someone who's not quite, I guess, a savant when it comes to your smartphone. This can actually be very beneficial because it will stop you from accidentally clicking on something on a link and downloading an app that you didn't want to download and then having that be installed. I think of my mum as the perfect example. I get 2 or 3 phone calls a month from her that I clicked something on my phone. Yep, the phone's done its job and it's prevented you from doing that. Thank goodness. But for me and for power users, this isn't good for us. So I would recommend for you turning this off because it does actually prompt you in the setup process for this to be turned on. But you can go into the settings, into security and privacy, and toggle it off, and then you get the control back, and you can then go to your apps list from APKs and install them should you want to. There's other things that Auto Blocker does as well, but if you read through and you don't like the sound of it, again, turn it off. Or if you do like the sound of it, turn it back on. And the last thing isn't really a mistake that you're doing. It's more of a mistake that people are ignoring, and it's the device care menu. This menu here provides such a good central snapshot of your entire phone's health. It literally houses everything you might need to find out what's wrong with your phone. It gives you a little bit of a health score for your phone, which you can, with one button, hit optimize, and then it'll go through a process to close background apps, optimize battery usage, check your phone, and it'll tell you that's come back great, or it might tell you if there's any issues. Also is a place where you can go check on your battery. There is a separate battery menu, but you can go through here and access all of the same battery settings that you can from the battery menu directly. You can also check out your RAM. So if you want to see which apps are using a lot of RAM, you can go into here and find out. And you can also control RAM Plus. Whilst we're here, turn RAM Plus off. There is absolutely no need for a phone with 12 gigabytes of RAM to be borrowing RAM from your internal storage, which will be a bit slower and also potentially use a bit more battery. So you can go and turn RAM Plus off, and then you just don't need to worry about it anymore. But if you're someone who, for some reason, needs that extra bit of RAM, RAM Plus is there as an option, but it's not going to perform the same. In here too, there's like app protection through McAfee, which will sort of scan your phone periodically to make sure the apps that you've got installed are safe. And there's other things too, like automatic optimizations through auto restart, which is a great feature I've spoken about before. And there's diagnostics, where you can actually let the phone run through a diagnostic process and see if your phone's running smoothly in all facets. But it's not just your phone. There's watch diagnostics in there, there's app diagnostics in there, battery diagnostics in there. Device Care houses all of that, and it's just a great place to be able to go to get your phone sorted and make it easier to use and smoother to use. So they are a bit of a list of mistakes that I see people making, and I think you could avoid. Especially if you're just starting out your Samsung journey, these are things that you can try to improve your phone's usage. Or if you've used Samsung for a while and you haven't found any of these before, then it's a great place to come to find them and make your phone work better for you. If you also want to know more about your phone, this is the place to be. So make sure you hit subscribe down below. Come follow me on my socials as well. I post about Samsung sometimes on there, and I'll see you guys in the next one. You.